In a footnote to the sixth and final volume of his monumental Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, first published in 1789, Edward Gibbon describes the religion of the Mongol rulers of Yuan dynasty China. The attachment of the Khans and the hatred of the Mandarins to the Bonzes and Lamas seems to represent them as the priests of the same god of the Indian Fa, whose worship prevails among the sects of Hindustan, Siam, Tibet, China, and Japan. But this mysterious subject is still lost in a cloud, which the researchers of our Asiatic Society may gradually dispel. Fa is Chinese for Buddha. This was the view of the greatest British historian of the 18th century. Over the past 2 centuries, the researchers of the Asiatic Society and many others have dispelled many clouds. Still, challenges remain. Some of the challenges are simply a matter of scale. The history of Indian Buddhism, Histoire du bouddhisme indien, by the great Belgian scholar and Roman Catholic priest Etienne Lamotte, published in French in 1958, is 896 small print pages long in its English translation, not counting maps and plates, and stops in 75 CE. Some of the challenges are conceptual, especially in the case of India. In his preface, Lamotte writes, "Buddhist sources tend in general to move on an abstract level of ideas, and if they explain the doctrine of Shakyamuni and the great scholars in detail, if they give a detailed description of the order of bhikshus, monks, and bhikshunis, nuns, they are almost completely devoid of historical or chronological indications. The Philosophia Perennis willingly disregards time and space." In an essay in Critical Terms for the Study of Buddhism, on what the term history might mean in Buddhism, the British sinologist Timothy Barrett consulted the 1,450-page Buddhist Chinese Sanskrit Dictionary, published by Akira Hirakawa in Japan in 1997, and could not find a Sanskrit term that corresponded to shi, the standard Chinese character for history. In the Indian Buddhist canons, we find far more stories about the Buddha's past lives, often as an animal, than we do about his final historical life, in which he achieved nirvana. Even in devout Buddhist societies, those past lives have been regarded by some as folklore rather than history. How might the history of Buddhism be written? Any presentation of the Buddhist tradition that seeks to be somehow comprehensive is faced with 2 existential challenges: the problem of time and the problem of space. The problem of time is not simply one of the duration of the tradition over many centuries, some of them historical. There are many more millennia extending from the distant mythological past to the apocalyptic future. Buddhist writers at many moments of history and in many Asian lands have been obsessed with the question of when the Buddha's teachings will disappear from the world. Even for the historical period of 2,500 years, it is impossible to construct a coherent narrative by following a single chronology. Seeking to travel through space